What's up, Ali? Congrats on signing up for a clothing brand review. I'm just going to read what you've written here and then I'm going to give you all the feedback that I have for you, okay? So, your website is austinsmarvel.com. Your Instagram is austinsmarvel. You represent breakups and the emotions that go with it. You started in January 2019, so you're a relatively new brand. This is your first year ever. And you're receiving 2 to 5 orders every month. And you've written here, I want to help people going through difficult breakups by relating to them. Looking for any advice to make my brand concept a bit better and more concrete. I'm really glad here that you're looking for advice on your brand concept, because when I looked at your clothing brand's website, when I looked at your Instagram account, that's the advice that I was going to give you naturally anyways. So I'm glad that that's kind of something that you're aware of, something that you feel you need to improve. And I want to share with you that right now. Your clothing brand concept right now, if I had to put it into a slogan, is for the brokenhearted, right? You're going after people who have been in a serious breakup. You know, they're going through a harsh time when it comes to relationships. Maybe they're in a serious argument with whoever it is that they love or whoever it is that they're dating. And those are the people that you're trying to relate with and build a brand for. And I actually think that this is a really, really good idea. Now, the caution that I have for you here is that there's a very, very thin line here between actually creating clothing that just says, you know, I'm brokenhearted, I'll never get past this, and, you know, this is something that I'll never get over, right? Because I don't think that people will want to identify with that. And anytime you create clothing, you're basically creating clothing as something that people want to identify with socially. People never tattoo on themselves that they've been in a relationship and that they're never going to be in a relationship again because they're worthless, right? And a lot of the times when you go through a breakup, that's the way that you feel. You feel like, you know, I'm not good enough, or, you know, it's that like deep, deep pain. And I think that when it comes down to your clothing brand and trying to relate to people who are going through this, I think that the side that you really, really want to focus on solely is that empowerment side. That feeling like I've been through this breakup, you know, now I'm better off type thing, rather than trying to appeal to the breakup side where it's like, you know, just dark and gloomy, and you're basically, you know, going down this path of being kind of a victim, right? And I think that you are very well aware of this. I've seen on your Instagram account, I've seen on your website that you're extremely aware of this. But I think that it's kind of this open-ended thing right now. It's kind of confusing, and it's kind of a little bit of both at times, whether you're meaning to or not. And I think that if you really solidify your brand concept as being that, you know, you don't need anybody else, you know, I'm independent now, and I've learned from my mistakes, that type of attitude, I think that that's something that people deeply, deeply want to identify with and are identifying with more and more right now. And I think that that is absolutely an unbelievable brand concept for you to have and for you to build from. I think that you'd be able to relate to a ton of people, and I think that that's an amazing, amazing foundation. And I think that a way that you can go really deep into this and separate yourself and become unique and your own brand around this is to tell your story, okay? And I know that this might be something that maybe you don't want to do in full detail, or maybe you want to create an alias if you don't want to, you know, give all the details and share all the names and all that stuff. But I think that sharing your story on an Our Story page or About Us page on your website, where you're talking about how you went down this path and how, you know, it taught you these lessons and how now you're better from it, and you put that on your website and you say that this is why I created this website, this is why I'm passionate about it, and this is what I want to spread. I want to spread this message. Then I think that when people come to your website and they read that and they're going through that themselves, they're going to recognize that this is a brand that's for them and this is something that they want to buy. And right now when I go on your website, there's no About Us page, there's no Our Story, and there's no way to truly get that feeling like your brand really understands what they're going through. And I think that the more that you appeal to their emotion, the more that you actually let them know, you know, you take the burden off them and you just let them know that you understand what they're going through. And this is a really good way of looking at that situation. And here's some clothing that represents what I'm talking about here. I think that you're going to notice much better results when it comes to your ability to sell. I think that your website looks good. I would maybe explain somewhere on your website what Austin's Marvel means and how it originated, because at least for me, when I come across this, I don't really understand what that means and how it relates to your brand of being brokenhearted and going through a relationship and learning lessons. I think that your website looks good. I really like down here how you've written, "We take our relationship seriously, need to contact us about an order." I think that that's an awesome way of including your brand concept directly into the branding on your website. We do that a lot with my own website when we talk about, our buds are basically the people who have worn our brand that are celebrities and influencers. And it's just basically a great way of tying in your actual brand concept into your design on your website. I think that's a really good idea. So going back to what I was mentioning earlier about how I think that your brand would be better off if it was that more empowerment side, it's items like this, Batter Without You. I think that those items are the types of things that you want to make your whole brand based around. And so once again, I want to point out at the top that there's no About Us or Our Story page, and I think that this is exactly where you need to include it, and I'd spend a lot of time designing it in a way that really illustrates, the whole message that your brand is trying to get across and really share with people. On your Instagram account here, I think I'd add more to your bio and just include, what you're all about and that deeper message about your brand, because that's an underrated section of any clothing brand. And I think that if you really do a good job expressing right off the bat what your brand's about without any sort of confusion, that will go a long way for you. And I think that your posts are all right here. I think that everything looks good. They're good pictures and everything. And right here, this is what I suggest that you lean into. Relax. Your heart is stronger than what you think. Stuff like that, I think, is where you will really take your brand to the next level if you make everything like that, and if you really amplify that empowering side, that positivity side, because I think that the positivity is something that people want to identify with. I want to finish out this brand review by telling you about one of my friend's stories trying to start up a clothing brand, and he launched this brand that was basically called Loser Apparel. Okay, I'm not going to share with you the actual name, but basically it's a synonym for like I'm a loser. And this whole brand, I think he made it thinking that, people will want to identify because there's a lot of people who feel that way about themselves. But what we found is that obviously it's not working. The brand's not working. People aren't buying it, obviously, and it's not taking off. It's not going anywhere. And that's because people don't want to identify socially with being a loser. Okay, they don't want to put themselves out there as being like, I'm weak. I'm never going to get over this. I'm, stuck. And I know I'm 100% confident that you are fully aware of this. I just think that when it comes to your brand concept, there's going to be a thin line between how people are perceiving your brand. And so it's on you as a clothing brand owner to make sure that the way that you are expressing your brand and putting your brand out there isn't being interpreted in this way where, you're weak and that's it. And that it's being interpreted in a way where, there's positivity that comes out of this and that you're a strong person. And that's the thing that I think you were kind of looking for in this video, and I hope that I nailed it. Those are my suggestions for how you move forward with your brand concept. I really hope that helps put things into perspective for you and really gives you a sense of direction when it comes to where to go with your brand and how to tighten up your brand concept and make it something solid. So I hope you put that into place. And once again, congrats on signing up for this review. Stoked to see where you end up. Peace.